They Live centres on a working homeless man, Nada, who finds a pair of sunglasses that allow him to see the insidious ways in which the hidden elite, who happen to be aliens, use capitalism as a method of controlling the masses. Once he learns this truth, we are taken on a violent, hyper-masculine journey in an attempt to destroy the ruling class and the illusions they project. To discuss how well They Live disrupts capitalist ideology, I will use Camoli and Narboni's method of categorizing how a film criticizes its own role within its ideological system. I will examine how well the film fits into Category D, films which are political in their content but adopt the dominant modes of depiction and production, using Robin Wood's Ideology, Genre, Auteur chapter, and Kendrick's Film Violence, History, Ideology, and Genre. They Live displays dominant modes of depiction while also being disruptive and political in its content. The film is clear in its anti-capitalist sentiment. The dominant modes that appear throughout They Live can be attributed to it being a science fiction action film of the 1980s. Kendrick discusses the use of the one-liner, dubbing the 1980s as its golden age. Kendrick notes the sophisticated way in which violence is infused with the comedy of the one-liner in order to make it more palatable.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
The bloodshed is acceptable because it's all in good fun. Furthermore, the depiction of violence in the infamous prolonged fight scene between the two characters Nada and Frank can be seen as a way of symbolizing Frank's struggle to see the truth. He will fight to stay oppressed, although he knows there is something wrong with the system he's in. This is shown by how he is cynical of Nada's idealism in the beginning. This is an important reading of the scene, but the point can be missed through its hyper-masculine glorification of violence. The casting of a professional wrestler in the lead role, then getting him to perform a 6-minute fight scene appears to me as capitalizing on his popularity in order to appeal to the masses. I believe this scene also accurately depicts the return to the hard-body masculine hero of an earlier era, which accompanies a category Wood describes as the ideal male, a type often reinforced in Hollywood cinema. The ideal male is a potent, untrammeled man of action. This is shown through the fight scene and Nada's ability to be thrown through windows, still managing to get back up to pursue his goal. We see the film conform to several other capitalist conventions that Wood states. Each of the characters, Nada, Frank, and Holly, show a participation in the dominant modes of depiction. Nada exemplifies the work ethic category. We are introduced to the character through how he seeks to find work, ultimately leading to a building site. Choosing to have this be the introduction to the character appears to be an attempt to make him more relatable to the audience. He gains respect as a homeless man who is actively seeking work and contributing to capitalist society. Even Nada's worldview shows this. He believes in meritocracy at the beginning of the film and is trusting of the system. Frank doesn't have the same faith in the system but still works to provide money for his family who live in a different state. This is seen as a noble act and reinforces the category heterosexuality and monogamous marriage. Holly, a reporter whose allegiances are unclear throughout the film until the final act, depicts the erotic woman, notably a mysterious female character that betrays the hero. It is clear the film has an internal struggle from attempting to be an anti-capitalist film in a capitalist society. Although I have argued the ways in which the film reinforces capitalist conventions, there is anti-capitalist content and depiction within the film, particularly the anti-authoritarian treatment of the police. The trashing of the homeless camp is a chaotic invasion of a peaceful community. The editing is fast-paced, and the red lighting of the flares emphasise that they are the danger. This is one of the ways They Live establishes itself as one of the liberal and radical films of the 1980s, contesting both Reaganism and the continued wave of conservative films. The depiction of media as a tool to control the masses is disruptive to the ideology, allowing the viewer to examine their own relationship with the media they consume. When Nada puts on the sunglasses, he is able to see through the capitalist illusion through a commodity, much like how the viewer does with the film itself. I would use this to argue They Live is not imbued through and through with the dominant ideology in terms of form and content, but seeks to disrupt it even if it falls short. The final Camoli and Narboni category to discuss is the questioning and rejecting of dominant cinematic conventions through both form and content. This is a category that I find is difficult to fulfill, as if you subscribe to Fisher's belief, alternative and independent don't designate something outside mainstream culture, rather they are styles, in fact the dominant styles, within the mainstream. They Live struggles to reject capitalism, due to it being a Hollywood film, and according to Fisher, it still would, even if it were an independent film. They Live successfully disrupts capitalism through its content while still participating in dominant modes of depicting American capitalist ideology. The film opens the viewer's eyes for long enough for us to feel satisfied in the participation of anti-capitalist sentiment by allowing us to continue to consume with impunity.